At our housewarming party, my mother-in-law said, "This house is too nice for you, you should let my son have it instead." I laughed, until she handed him a fake ownership contract. Then, my husband said something that made her scream. I still can't believe this happened. Even writing it down feels unreal, but I promise every word is true. A little background: my husband, Mark, and I had been married for 5 years. We weren't rich, but we worked hard and made good money choices. I grew up in a working-class family and have always been careful with money. Mark grew up with a mom, Diane, who believed her son was perfect. She always thought he could do no wrong. I always felt like I wasn't good enough for her. Diane spent our marriage trying to control Mark. She criticized everything I did, from my cooking to my job to my clothes. But Mark always defended me, which made her dislike me even more. Then came the house. It was my dream home. After years of saving, budgeting, and extra work, I finally bought my first house. Yes, I paid for it myself. My name was the only one on the deed because Mark had some past credit problems that made it hard for him to get a loan. We both agreed that it made sense for me to buy it. Of course, Diane disagreed. When she saw the house, she wrinkled her nose as if she smelled something bad. "This is too nice for you," she said, looking around. "Are you sure you can afford it?" I should have known she was planning something. A week later, at a small housewarming party with close friends and family, everything was fine until Diane decided to speak up. She tapped her wine glass with a fork and cleared her throat in a dramatic way. The room became silent. Then she smiled and said, "This house is too nice for you, you should let my son have it instead." Everyone froze. I laughed, thinking she was joking, but she wasn't. She turned to Mark and handed him a stack of papers. "Here you go, sweetheart," she said kindly, giving him a fake ownership contract. I saw that my name had been crossed out with a black marker, and Mark's name was written in its place. I was shocked. With a gleam in her eye, she said, "Since you put Mark's name on the mortgage, I figured we could just make it official." But I hadn't done that. Mark's name wasn't on anything. The house was mine. Mark looked at the papers, then at his mother. Finally, he said the words that made her scream. Mark stared silently at the fake contract. His face didn't change, but I saw his jaw clench. I knew that look. He was angry. Diane must have thought his silence meant he agreed, so she patted his arm and said, "It's for your own good, sweetheart. This way, you'll have security. You deserve a home like this." Then she gave me a sharp look and said, "She can always find something more her size." The room was so quiet I could hear my heartbeat. Everyone was waiting for Mark to speak. Finally, in a calm voice, he asked, "Mom, where did you get this?" Diane smiled as if she had won a prize. "Oh, I had a friend draw it up. It's perfectly legal." I snapped out of my shock. "Legal? You think you can just cross my name out and put his in? That's not how property ownership works." Diane rolled her eyes. "You wouldn't understand. This is about protecting my son." Mark sighed and placed the papers on the kitchen island. Then he said very clearly, "Mom, I don't own this house. I never have, and I never will, because it's not mine, it's hers." The moment he spoke, Diane's face twisted in anger. "What?" she snapped. Mark shrugged. "Her name is on the mortgage. Her name is on the deed. I don't own any part of this house." Diane blinked, unable to believe what she was hearing. "But, that's not possible." Mark laughed briefly. "Of course it is. Do you think I'd let you do this if my name was on it?" Her eyes turned to me. "Tell me he's lying." I crossed my arms. "He's not. I paid for it. I own it. End of story." Diane clenched her fists. "This isn't right. A man should own the home, not his wife." Some people in the room gasped. Mark's best friend, Dave, even laughed. My cousin whispered, "What year does she think this is?" I expected Mark to get angry, to yell. Instead, he just smiled. Then he said, "Mom," in a low, amused voice, "you're not really mad about the house, are you?" Her lips pressed together in anger. "Of course I am. This is supposed to be yours." Mark leaned forward and lowered his voice so only she could hear. I was standing close enough to hear him. "No," he whispered, "you're angry because you were planning something. You thought if my name was on it, you could take it away from me." Diane's face turned pale. The room felt heavy and quiet. Then Diane snapped, "How dare you talk to me like that?" She slammed her hands on the counter. "I am your mother. I know what's best for you." Mark didn't move. "Do you?" he said. I watched her carefully, my heart pounding. Something didn't add up. This wasn't just her usual need to control, she had a plan. And then it hit me. I took a slow step toward her. You were planning to put the house in your name, weren't you? As soon as I said it, her eyes grew wide. I felt a chill run down my spine. That was it. Her goal wasn't just to make Mark take the house, it was to steal it for herself. Diane looked around the room like she was searching for a way out. Her mouth opened as if she wanted to argue, but no words came out. Mark looked at me, realization dawning on him. Oh my God, he muttered. The mood in the room changed. The silence wasn't just awkward, it felt dangerous. Everyone waited for her to speak. Then, suddenly, Diane let out a high-pitched laugh. It sounded forced and unnatural. You two are being ridiculous, she said, waving her hand as if this were a small mistake. Why would I want your house? I crossed my arms. That's a good question, Diane. Why would you? For a split second, panic flashed across her face before she quickly hid it. I was just trying to help my son, she said sweetly, though her tone was harsh underneath. A real wife wouldn't put herself above her husband like that. A real wife would make sure her husband was taken care of. Mark laughed sharply. You mean, like Dad took care of you? Diane's head snapped toward him. Oh, she stammered, clearly upset. I saw her face twist, her nostrils flare. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Don't bring your father into this, she hissed. Mark shrugged. Why not? You spent my entire childhood saying how he left you with nothing. You used him as a warning. Never let a woman control the money. Never let a woman take your house. Diane's face turned bright red, and suddenly everything made sense. This wasn't just about me or Mark. It was about her ex-husband. Diane had been hurt in her divorce, and now she was trying to prevent Mark from going through the same thing, even though nothing like that would ever happen. I stepped closer. You weren't trying to protect Mark, you were trying to protect yourself. Diane let out another forced laugh, but this time it was weak. That's ridiculous, I said, shaking my head. Then why did you cross my name off the contract and put his? Why not put both our names? She looked angry. Because you planned to take it from him, I accused. Diane exploded. Do you think I'm stupid? She screamed. I know how this ends. First it's, oh, the house is mine, then it's divorce papers, and then my son is left with nothing. Mark clenched his fists. Jesus Christ, Mom, you really think my marriage is going to end up like yours? Diane threw her hands in the air. You never know, men get hurt all the time. I was trying to protect you by stealing our house, I snapped. She spun toward me, her fingers shaking as she pointed at my face. You don't deserve this house, you don't deserve my son. I knew from the start, you were selfish. Mark slammed his fist on the counter. That's enough. Diane jumped. I'm not, Dad, Mark said, his voice calm but dangerous. And Oprah is not you. We're not getting divorced. And even if we did, you don't get a say in our house. You were never a part of this. For the first time, Diane looked scared, but then her fear changed to something more dangerous. She took a slow breath and, with a fake sweet smile, said, We'll see about that. And that's when I realized this wasn't over. Diane's words hung in the air like a loaded gun. We'll see about that. The tension in the room grew even stronger. Diane wasn't just throwing a tantrum, she was planning something. Mark noticed too. His body stiffened, and he gripped the counter tightly. What the hell is that supposed to mean? He asked, his voice cold. Diane tilted her head, her fake smile still in place. It means, dear, that I'll do whatever it takes to make sure you don't end up like your father. And that's when I knew she wasn't done. She was just beginning. For the next 2 weeks, everything felt too quiet. Diane had stormed out of the party that night, humiliated, but I knew she wouldn't give up that easily. Then one morning, I received an official-looking letter in the mail, a legal document. I tore the letter open, and my stomach sank. When I saw what it said, I felt frozen with fear. Diane had filed a lawsuit against me, trying to claim part of my house. I couldn't believe it. The document was full of lies. It said that Mark and I had bought the house together, that I had forged papers to keep it in my name, and that Diane had helped pay the down payment. It was all made up, and I felt sick. I called Mark immediately. You're not going to believe this, I managed to say. When he got home and read the document, his face turned stone cold. She's lost her mind, he muttered. We knew we had to act quickly. We hired a lawyer and gathered all the proof that the house was mine, bank statements, mortgage documents, and even emails with my lender. There was no way Diane could win this case. But it wasn't just about winning. She was trying to harass me. She wanted to make things expensive and exhausting until I gave in, and Mark knew it. She's trying to break you, he said, his hands shaking with anger. But she underestimated me, I replied. If she wants war, I'll give her war. The day of the court hearing finally arrived. I thought Diane would be nervous or embarrassed for going so far, but when she walked in, she had a smirk on her face like she had already won. She barely looked at me, but she squeezed Mark's arm and whispered, "Don't worry, sweetheart, I'll fix this." Mark pulled his arm away. "You're insane," he said. We sat through 2 hours of legal arguments. Every time Diane's lawyer claimed that she had paid money for the house, our lawyer showed evidence that she had not. With every piece of evidence, her case crumbled. Finally, Diane lost her temper. "This isn't fair," she screamed, standing up so fast that her chair fell over. The judge hit his gavel hard. "Ma'am, sit down," he ordered, but she ignored him. She then turned on me. "You're a liar, a greedy, manipulative woman. You don't deserve this house, you don't deserve my son, you're just like his father's second wife, taking everything and leaving him with nothing." Mark jumped up, his chair scraping the floor. "Ma'am, stop," he commanded. Diane spun toward him, her eyes wild. "I'm doing this for you," she shouted. Then, in front of everyone, Mark said the words that broke her. "I don't want anything from you. I don't want your help. I don't want you in my life anymore." Diane froze. The courtroom grew so silent that I could almost hear her breathing. Mark took a step forward, his voice quiet but firm. "You've tried to control me my whole life. I let it happen because I thought you loved me, but this, trying to steal from my wife and lying in court, is over." Diane tried to speak, but no words came out. For the first time, she looked really scared. "Sweetheart," she whispered, reaching for his arm, "I just wanted to protect you." Mark pulled away. "No, you just wanted to control me, and I won't let you anymore." He then turned to me with a look of regret. "I'm sorry I didn't stop this sooner." I squeezed his hand and said, "We're stopping it now." And just like that, Diane's world fell apart. The case was thrown out almost immediately. Diane had no legal right to claim any part of the house. The judge even scolded her for wasting the court's time. But that wasn't the end. After the hearing, Diane tried everything to get Mark to forgive her. She called, emailed, and even showed up at his work, crying about how she never meant for things to go so far. But Mark was done. He blocked her number, stopped answering her calls, and even told his work security not to let her in. As for me, I felt relieved. For 5 years, I had put up with her trying to control my marriage, my husband, and my life, and now she had finally pushed too far. Almost a year has passed since that day. Diane is no longer in our lives. She even sent Mark a long letter a few months ago saying she was getting help and was ready to be a good mother again, but he threw it away without reading past the first paragraph. "And us? We are stronger than ever. That house, my house, is still mine. And now it's a home where I don't have to worry about someone trying to steal it from under me." Diane thought she could control and intimidate her way to get what she wanted. Instead, she lost everything.